I love when you can just push it all together and give people tips for living. And this is really what you've done in this article in Forbes. The 7 habits of insanely productive people. I don't know if I want to be insanely productive people, but definitely productive. You say you should never eat lunch at your desk alone. I do that all the time because I'm working. Isn't that a good thing?
That's right. We think that if we work for lunch, we're going to get so much more done. But what we're forgetting is the fact that there's a networking factor, huge networking factor, in building relationships internally to make sure that the projects you're working on or the budgets that needs to be approved for your project or the knowledge that you don't possess could be valuable to you at some point. So building relationships internally and taking the lunch to not only meet people outside of the office in the industry, but also inside of the office, and making sure you have a huge network internally. So when the time comes and you need learnings that you don't have, or they help with pushing the budget through, whatever that would be, you actually know people to go to, and it definitely saves you a lot of time and a lot of mistakes you would have otherwise made. So that's one of the biggest things that I learned in my career that I think we miss.
You say use your productivity tools, and I love productivity tools, but I find that I spend a lot of time sometimes trying to master the productivity tools, and then I find that they're really not all that productive after all. Ekaterina, what do you suggest? What are some of your very favorite in terms of productivity tools?
There's I don't have a particular favorite. There's several cool ones out there. It just depends on uh, what browser you use and how do you prefer to work. Honestly, with all the tech productivity tools that are out there, my favorite is just to set up a timer and set up a time on your calendar and be very disciplined about dedicating that time to do whatever it is you need to do. So, for example, if you feel like in the mornings you're more productive and your brain works in a more creative ways, take that time and brainstorm the strategies versus catching up on email, which eats up a lot of your motivation after a while.
It
So
does.
just becoming disciplined about that is the most effective tool that I found that works. But then you can add tech gadgets on top of that.
We're talking about the 7 habits of insanely productive people in Forbes.com, and she is the author, Ekaterina Walter. You say become a human filter. I don't know, that for some reason just made me crave coffee, but explain to me what exactly you mean by becoming a human filter.
You know how you always feel like in this age of what I call infobicity, right? Amount of information that we produce and try to consume every single day, we feel like people who help aggregate some of the best and most recent news, stats, data, lessons, training, you always kind of feel that there is value in somebody else helping you figure out what to read or what information to consume without losing a lot of time. So when you want to add value to others, again, in building your network and building your value within the company, make sure that you have interesting ways of filtering the right information. So if you spend X number of hours every day on reading the latest news, take the tidbits that you found the coolest, the most interesting, and share it with the rest of your team, share it with your management, and then save it for yourself, because at the end of the day, at some point, a month later, 2 months later, 3 months later, you're going to tell yourself, oh my God, I seen that statistic somewhere. I want to use it in my presentation to my executives. And it is easier to then go and find that because you already saved it. So there's a lot of ways not to just add value, but also to make your life easier down the road.
The next one, I think, is what honestly precludes my productivity overall. And that is, you say delegate and then go away. I am terrible at delegating. I don't trust anyone to do it as well as I'll do it. So I just keep on doing things that I know other people should be doing in my life, but I keep doing them because I'm too afraid to trust and then have to deal with the difficulties of that person failing doing it, or even just the training sometimes can be all-consuming to get someone to be able to really take over a role. So what are your best tips for those that want to delegate, but they just aren't very good at it like me?
Well, first of all, if you don't want to really train people, give them an opportunity to be self motivated and self trained. So if somebody comes to you and says, look, I want to take a bigger role, then give them a task that you're currently working on. And even if you're performing it as well, see how do they do. And then you're going to find out that if a person is really self motivated and can self train and really the right person for your team for those particular tasks, I think you're going to find that together your strategy or whatever it is you're working on will be better. But then there's also people on your team that you know are better at something. So if you want to do data shuffling and analytics or a data analysis for a particular presentation, you know somebody on your team is better at that. And not only that, they love doing that. So trust, give them a trust, first time, maybe second time, trust them to come up with the best way that they could help you do it. And yeah, sometimes they'll fail you because maybe they misunderstood, or something goes wrong. But I think what you will find is when you trust people and you give them a chance and they really want to do something cool, I think you will find that they trust you more and they are willing to do so much more for you at the end of the day.
Your first book, Think Like Zuck, Five Business Secrets of Facebook's improbably brilliant CEO, Mark Zuckerberg, which was, of course, is a Wall Street Journal bestseller. Your newer book, The Power of Visual Storytelling. This topic fascinates me. What is visual storytelling?
Visual storytelling is telling a story of your brand, or your own story, just telling a story of a person or an entity through using visuals and creative visuals that could include visuals, videos, infographic, presentations, cartoons that people started marketing with cartoons lately, which work extremely well if done right. So how do you tell a story of and deliver a message that's critical to you, but doing it visually? Our brain, human brain, processes visuals 60,000 times faster than text.
Mm.
And people think in visuals. It's our nature to think in visuals. So to stand again out in that noise and in the age of a ton of information, but wanting information this fast, visuals really become our beacon of what content to consume or not to consume at a particular point.
Hmm. Fascinating. And so for people who want to incorporate this more into their business, what are your best suggestions?
Uh, Outline your story first. Become really truly a storyteller, and then
Mm.
try to play with different types of visuals. And it doesn't even have to be, well, I have to hire an expensive designer. It could be a lo-fi, videos taken on the go or images taken on the go that provide either an inside look or tell a story or provide valuable information, even if it's 1 minute video. I think between utility and telling your story in a compelling way, you literally will engage your communities in a far better way than just, the traditional marketing message that we used to putting out there as marketers.
And so, really, the whole idea is building that commodity of brand that is really changing quickly, isn't it? This is sort of a frontier business at this point, don't you think?
Absolutely, absolutely, and it's going to only continue to the technologies will continue to move faster. Information will be consumed. There's going to be more information, and it'll be consumed in a more aggregated, sort of snackable way. So you really need to figure out how, as a small business, large business, personal business, right? How to really create snackable content, snackable visual
You're
content.
saying snackable?
Snackable, absolutely. The
Okay,
one that
just
I can,
making sure.
yeah, consume real fast. I mean, really, but the reality is adult attention span is now between about 3 to 8 seconds. What does that tell you? How much attention can we really truly hold? It's just literally people visually make decisions on whether they want to go look at your product, consume the content that you're writing about, right? Or even reach out to you for help, support, or giving you your business. So the reality is that those decisions are now being made in multiple different networks and multiple different settings, but also very fast. So if you're not on it, you definitely will see that you are losing business.
All right. Thanks so much for being on the show, Ekaterina. Where can we find your work and, of course, your books?
Well, so there's this nifty tool, google.com. My website is ekaterinawalter.com, but I'm on all social networks. So if people want to ask a question or reach out, they can easily find me on Google for sure. And all the books, both of my books are on Amazon and other retailers. So
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ekaterina, for being with us.